Today we'll be discussing norms. Norms are the unwritten rules that shape politics and regulate the behavior of diplomats. These rules were not created by the admin, and people don't follow all of them. So why the hell am I making this video? What do you get out of learning these optional rules? Well, you get to understand why diplomats hate each other. That wasn't a joke. Most of the discussions in politics and war are led by diplomats arguing with one another, so these rules are pretty useful for determining who's right. And yes, someone is right. Norms are all built on the foundation of reciprocity. Treat others the way they treat you. Sometimes people do, and a lot of the time they don't. The people that don't follow the rules and treat others fairly are in the wrong. Now you may say,
everything's made up and the points don't matter.
To which I'd say you're correct, but unfortunately the rest of the game now perceives you as a Disney villain or as an Austrian painter, and the other alliances won't help you if they don't trust you. And that means you can't sign treaties, form coalitions, surrender, or even borrow money. Even the pirates follow rules. The
only rules that really matter are these. What a man can do and what a man can't do.
This is fiction. PNW pirates still have rules and codes. They just have less of them. So let's get to the rules before I lose your interest. There are fundamental rules that apply to everyone, including pirates. Good diplomats follow these rules and know they're risking their job and their alliance if they break one. Always keep your word. I'm going to borrow some words from a Goonswarm diplomat. This is pure pragmatism. If you do not keep your word, people will not deal with you. As a diplomat, you only have your word. People don't have to like you to deal with you. They can think you're the worst person alive, but if you have a mutual enemy and they know you'll hold your end of the bargain, they'll work with you. Do not lie. This norm is tricky, and it distinguishes good diplomats from bad ones. Good diplomats don't lie. They just don't answer the question. Here's an example. Are you going to war tomorrow? They reply, I haven't decided yet. Our military is just for defensive purposes. Why do you ask? Is something going to happen? Or they can avoid the conversation entirely by switching their Discord activity to invisible and feigning a bad Wi-Fi connection. Do not leak. This norm is constantly being broken, and every time it happens, a good diplomat shifts to being a bad one overnight. Their access to confidential information is revoked, and other diplomats stop talking to them. Diplomats like to surprise their enemies and pretend their motivations are more noble than they are. Revealing their candid conversations and secret agreements spoils all of that. This norm has two branches which are quite interesting. The first is that confidential information is never disclosed or declassified, so the bulk of the game's political history is permanently lost. The second is that even if one diplomat leaks the conversation, the other won't, because they won't want to stoop to their level and break the rule as well. Diplomacy. The following are rules that are specific to diplomacy. All treaties are honored. If your ally is attacked, you must defend them. Even if they ask you not to, your reputation will suffer if you don't defend them, and people will be hesitant to become your ally. NAPs cannot be broken. Non-Aggression-Pacts cannot be broken. This rule is dumb. After global wars, then a non-aggression pact is signed and it expires after a few months. Even if you learn that another signatory plans to attack you, you cannot attack them until the non-aggression pact ends. If they break the non-aggression pact, then you have a strong argument not to sign another, and your reputation is still intact. You're losing pixels but staying trustworthy. This rule is accompanied by a challenge. Can you find an example of a major alliance breaking a non-aggression pact? Even once. It's probably the strictest rule on this list, with the most adherence. If our allies fight, we will abstain. It sucks when allies fight, and it's tempting to side with the stronger ally or the one you think is in the right. No matter what you do and which side you join, you're going to lose. In those situations, the best option is to try and mediate, and to stay out of it. They'll resolve it themselves, and your neutrality will often be rewarded with annoyed, but normal relations with both. Hell, you can salvage the situation after the war ends, which is impossible if you pick a side. We will not cancel our allies without justification. This is an older rule, and only really old alliances still follow it. Some alliances follow the inverse rule, and when they cancel their allies, only say nice things. Pleasantries in public. Members of the alliance will be polite to members of allied and neutral alliances. Furthermore, they will refrain from damaging the reputation of allied and neutral alliances. This extends to welcoming newcomers, since you don't know how successful they'll be, and you only get one shot at a good first impression. Learn your history. You don't need to know the details of every war, treaty, and crisis in the game. You do need to know your alliance's wars, treaties, and crises, and to do your homework on the alliances you're dealing with as well. Ignorance is a weak defense, and other diplomats will capitalize on it to deal substantial damage to your reputation. War. We all know about the Geneva Conventions, those treaties forbidding chemical and biological weapons, as well as a bunch of other horrifying stuff. P&W doesn't have those, but we do have norms that prevent alliances being too cruel. Always have a CB, a Casus Belli. A lot of alliances have stopped following this rule, and I can only conclude it's because they're lazy. People don't log in every few hours and spam airstrikes for the sake of it. They want to contribute to a story and to their team's success. If you have a strong justification for war, a strong story for people to participate in, then you'll have more interested and active members, and better odds of winning the war. Casus Bellis can expire. If something happened a long time ago, then people won't care, and you'll look like you're still holding on to a really old grudge. When a defender wins a war, that's exceedingly rare, it is acceptable for them to demand reparations, political concessions, and/or petty nonsense. When the aggressor wins war, they should be satisfied with the victory. Peace terms. Some alliances will not impose terms on other alliances that they are not willing to suffer themselves. This is so that they can demand leniency when they lose. We will never surrender. Some alliances refuse to surrender under any conditions, and the winners will have to settle for white peace, no official winner, for the war to end. Do not attack protectorates. Protectorates of enemy alliances should not be attacked. Protectorate agreements are one-sided. The protector defends the protectorate. They are not a threat. However, if they make the unwise decision to participate of their own volition, then you should allow them to exit the conflict whenever they want and with lenient terms. We will not exit a war without the approval of our allies. The alliance will not accept a separate peace agreement from its allies. This prevents any alliance being isolated and subjected to worse peace terms or an extended war. Furthermore, the alliance agrees to honor collective decisions made with its allies. This is a very dangerous norm. Do not raid other alliances. Once your alliance grows very large, then raiding becomes completely unprofitable. The only reason big alliances raid smaller ones is out of boredom or because they want to grief them. If you raid other alliances when you don't need to, you'll be perceived as a bully and your reputation will be damaged a lot. Do not spy. The vast majority of the great powers spy on or send agents to disrupt their adversaries. Ask any of them if they do it and they will deny it. Ask any of them for funny facts on their adversary's supposedly top-secret plans, and their list will be 3 times longer than this one. So, perhaps this norm is better described as do not get caught spying. Community. Generally, people have to repay any debt they've incurred as a member of an alliance. Grants or loans, it doesn't matter, you have to pay it back. When people steal from alliances, they remember it. Return mistrades. A mistrade is when you enter an incorrect amount or price when creating a trade. For example, 1 million food at 10 price per unit. If you make that mistake, you'll likely lose 120 million. The nation that buys the food before you realize your mistake will normally keep it. However, if they return it, then their reputation and their alliance's reputation improves dramatically. Don't poach members. Spamming and convincing people to leave their alliance and join yours creates unnecessary drama and often leads to stupid conflicts. Just recruit and grow your members. If you want people from other alliances to join, then run in-game advertisements. Don't avoid wars by entering vacation mode. If you or your members enter vacation mode just before a war to protect infrastructure, you will be denounced as cowards. It might be good strategy, but it's just terrible for reputation. Part of defining your alliance's identity is choosing what norms you will abide and which ones you won't. You're not going to hold all of these norms. Many of them are contradictory, and they don't blend well into a singular character for your alliance and for yourself. One thing to note is that you do not need to hold these norms to be successful. You can be very successful and you can break all of them. However, you will be considered a bad diplomat for doing that. You can inversely hold all of these norms, except for the contradictory ones, and be regarded as a very successful diplomat, and yet objectively fail by every metric that's significant. So it really depends on what you want to do. And I hope that you continue to help evolve these norms, to create your own norms, and to get some use out of them. If you found this video helpful, then like and subscribe. If you didn't, then leave a comment, and hopefully I will start making stuff that is more useful to you.